I used to believe silence meant safety. That if I kept my thoughts hidden, no one could wound me. But then I met Alwin. He had this way of listening. Like he could hear the parts of me I hadn't even said aloud. I trusted him. More than anyone. For a while, it felt like we were building something unshakable. Dreams whispered over late-night calls. Laughter in places too ordinary to matter. Promises that sounded eternal. And for a time, I believed them. But promises, they rot quickly when they're left in the dark. I didn't discover it through a confession. It wasn't a fight. It was small. Almost invisible. A message not meant for me. A detail that didn't fit. And suddenly, the foundation cracked. The man I thought was my shelter had been someone else's escape. I tried to convince myself it was nothing. That maybe I misunderstood. That people make mistakes. And maybe he had too. But truth doesn't bend. It doesn't soften. It sits in front of you. Silent and cruel. Until you finally admit what's been there all along. The hardest part wasn't the betrayal itself. It was the realization that I had handed him the most fragile pieces of me. And he didn't even think twice before dropping them. I hated him for it. But I hated myself more. For believing I was enough to keep someone. The nights turned heavy. Every corner of the room seemed louder in his absence. Silence was no longer safe. It became a reminder of everything he had taken. I would lie awake, replaying conversations. His voice in my memory sounded different now. Every laugh. I questioned if it belonged to me. Or to someone else. That's what betrayal does. It poisons the past. It rewrites moments that once felt pure into questions you'll never be able to answer. And still, I couldn't let go right away. Part of me wanted him to call. To explain. To tell me that I had it wrong. That he was still the person I believed he was. But the call never came. And maybe that silence was its own kind of truth. I learned something in those nights alone. Pain doesn't rush. It doesn't scream. It lingers. It sits quietly, waiting for you to notice how deep it has settled. But grief, as cruel as it feels, also leaves behind space. And slowly, without asking, something else begins to fill it. The cracks he left behind. They let light in. Not bright. Not warm. But enough. Enough to see that I was still here. Enough to notice that my story wasn't over. Even if his leaving left mine shaken. And in that broken quiet, I began to recognize myself again. The way I laugh without thinking. The way I still reach for books at midnight. The way music still makes me feel alive. Even when my chest feels hollow. He hadn't taken those things. He couldn't. And maybe that's the hidden truth inside heartbreak. It isn't only about losing someone else. It's about finding the parts of you that you forgot could survive without them. I still hear his name sometimes. It drifts through my mind like a ghost. But it doesn't hollow me out anymore. Now, it reminds me of something else. That I survived. And survival. That's its own kind of love. The kind you give yourself. The kind no one else can touch. It's quieter than the promises he made. But it's steadier. And it's mine.
If you liked this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this.